All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Houston Rockets Daily. My name is Jackson, and I post daily Rockets content. And we have Let's Talk Rockets episode number 9. Yesterday, Damian Lillard dropped 71 on the Houston Rockets, and Alperen Sengun once again gets benched, but hopefully helps on the way. We have a healthy Jalen Green, it appears, and we'll get into all the injury discussions and just a little bit of Rockets talk. I really liked the last episode we had. If you watched it late, we had a bunch of people coming in here live and just chatting with me. So without further ado, we'll start the very superficial, doesn't really build you up loop. All right, guys. What's up? Appreciate everyone in here watching live and watching not live. Let's get a little housekeeping under the way here. Appreciate you guys if you're watching this and we're not live anymore. And you have anything to say, go ahead. Definitely be sure to throw that down below in the chat. I want to, so I have a daily live NBA show. I think the link might be in the bio. I try and pin the comment in every video I do, but we don't talk too much Rockets, right? Today we talked about the Portland Trail Blazers, but I really like the idea of having, just kind of something pretty much daily, something live that a lot of you guys can go back and watch on. I know there's a lot of great Houston Rocket content creators, but I don't know. I was talking to my boy Cozy, and he was like, "When's the next time you're gonna be live?" I'm like, let's do it in the next 24 hours. We got a nice little ready here while I get ready to do some work. So let's talk Rockets. The main storyline heading into today is a little bit of everything. We'll get into the injuries, and I might talk a little bit of cap space later on in the video. But if you're here watching live, what's up? Drop any opinions, any questions down below in the chat, as always. I just love the taste of it. Just a Red Bull. Anyways, all right, let's pull this up here because last night Damian Lillard once again dropped 71 on the Houston Rockets. I have this on mute, but if it were to ever not be muted, let's just throw that in there so we know. All right, Alperen Sengun got benched once again, and did I pull up the tweet? Yeah, we got. No, I pulled up the wrong thing. Damn. Hold on 1 second. We have a tweet from, who is it? Roosh Williams. This just kind of, there's a couple of tweets I actually think I have. This is not it. All right, here's my, oh, cool. It's just my tweets. All right. Let's go to Roosh real quick. I like this one a lot. So, Sengun, Silas responded with why he benched Sengun as far as just, they were pick and rolling him every time. And it really made me kind of remind myself, made me remember actually anytime, and this year might be a little bit different, but anytime that the Denver Nuggets play in the playoffs and they go up against a team that has elite guard play, like very elite guard play, and teams that just can move the ball well, but mainly elite guard play, i.e. the Golden State Warriors. I don't think with Steph Curry not being retired, and Draymond Green not being retired and still on the Warriors, I don't think the Nuggets, I don't think the Nuggets would ever be able to beat Golden State in a 7-game series. And a lot has to do with Nikola Jokic's perimeter, or not perimeter, just defense in general in the paint, because Golden State, what they do every time they go up against Nikola Jokic is they pick and roll every single time on Nikola Jokic, either hoping for a switch. If they don't get a switch and he goes into drop back or whatever happens, they just take advantage of it. They just simply take advantage of it. Now, Nikola Jokic has taken a lot of strides as a defender, but it reminds me of Alperen Sengun, as a lot of us say, they have very similar game styles. The difference is Nikola Jokic, I think, just turned 28. Alperen Sengun just turned 20. So big age gap. I think he just turned 20, or he might be 21. But There's a huge age gap. And the difference between the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors is we're rebuilding. So it makes no sense to really bench Alperen Sengun. So here we have this tweet. If you knew Sengun had deficiencies that you deem unplayable on the worst team in the NBA 3 years in running, then why'd you waste 2 first-round picks on him? Makes no sense. Either lean in and let it ride as we develop the kids, or you wasted everyone's time and wasted assets in the process. I know a lot of Rockets people, whether they're, creators or what have you, they're really going at Steven Silas right now, and I'm glad. Not for Steven, because he seems like a great guy. I don't know how many times we can really emphasize that without sounding like massive douchebags with what I'm about to say, but he's a horrible head coach, just terrible head coach. What's up, Gio? What is up, Josh? Glad to see both of you guys in here. As Brian Cruz said, Willie Cauley-Stein. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit later on. I don't the Willie Cauley-Stein, I think signings at this point in the season, I don't really it just doesn't really do too much for me, to be honest with you. Hopefully we see a little bit of Willie, but I still really actually doubt it. So, Boban came in, and honestly they did the same thing, just pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll. Damian Lillard, I think it's really important to know Damian Lillard right now is a top 5 player in the league. I think actually right now he's the best player in the league. I think it's kind of hard to dispute it. In the month of February, Damian Lillard is averaging 40 points. Now, Portland itself as a team isn't where they want to be, and that's a whole another thing. Portland should have gotten Dame a lot more help. But you're going up against the best point guard right now in the NBA, so he's going to torch you. You just know he's going to torch you. We're the worst defense in the league for a reason, and he's simply just going to torch us. 71 points is a little bit overkill, but actually we're the second worst defense in the league. That's kind of shocking. You never want to be the team that gives up 71. You never want to be the team that gives up 40 points to a single player. But the point is, even when Alperen Sengun got benched, they're still running pick and rolls, and they're still going at Boban. They're still going at whoever came in to play center. They're still going at everybody. And that's a large portion, actually, of the Portland Trailblazers offense, with or without Anthony Simons. Damian Lillard's on that court. They're going to be running a ton of pick and roll, just a ton of pick and roll. And, we saw a couple of double teams. Houston started guarding Dame a lot more tight, but the issue with that was, there was a couple possessions right away in the third quarter where I forget who one of them was, but I know Matisse Thybulle drained a 3. I can't think of who else drained a 3, but then, Houston kind of gets back to not trapping him and not double teaming him. If this was a 7-game series, it would be a little bit different. I think a lot of, before Kyrie Irving went to the Dallas Mavericks, there's 2 ways you could play Luka Doncic and the Dallas. You could either put all your eggs into the Luka Doncic basket and just either let him beat you single-handedly, which a lot of teams do, or what you could do is try and shut down the rest of the players and let Luka do his thing, or shut down Luka and let the rest of the players do their thing. Was that the same? Was that a redundant statement? I don't know why that's confusing me. Shut down Luka's teammates and let Luka go off, or shut down Luka and let his teammates go off. That's kind of what they do. Or that used to be the game plan to take down the Dallas Mavericks. But I don't know, man. Dame just simply couldn't miss. It is unfortunate, but it put a lot of eyeballs on this Houston Rockets team. And once again, it's just in the unfortunate facet. Jabari Smith Jr. continues to suffer in the 2 games he's been back since the All-Star break. It has been absolutely unbearable. I know Jalen Green is back from injury. He's fully practicing. It's a groin injury, so you do want to be a little bit safe rather than sorry. There are some teams like San Antonio and Detroit that are losing a lot of basketball games. So let's see here. I would imagine Silas said Wednesday both players likely participated. One could return. Blah 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 blah. I think Jalen will be back at some point in this week. Of course, when I'm trying to talk about news, there's nothing there. All right, whatever. Yeah, he was out. But he didn't play. Whatever. He'll be back. All right. Watching the Rockets ain't the same, unfortunately. It is tough, man. We started – actually, you know what? Let me just pull up how we started last year's All-Star break, because post-All-Star break, it's just tough because it's the same stuff over and over again. All right, here we go. So Houston was in the midst of their 19 of 20 straight losses. I think, what do we lose, like 15 straight, something like that. So this time last year, we came back from the All-Star break, played a bad team in the Orlando Magic, lost to the Clippers, lost to Utah, lost to Denver. So that was 5 straight losses. Then they got that nice win against Memphis, lose to Miami, get that win against the Lakers. And let's just fact check that. I think Jalen had 40 in that game, or was that earlier on in the season? Jalen had 32. Yeah, he had that great game. Lost to Dallas, lost to Pelicans, lost to Phoenix, lost to Indianapolis, lost to Memphis, beat Washington, lost to Dallas, beat Portland, and then lost the remaining 7 games. But if you remember, like, the way we played was a lot better than just win losses. So I still anticipate that to happen. You know, obviously they're without arguably 2 of their best 3 players, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. If you take what's a good comparison and kind of views on where you put Alperen Sengun on the list. But, let me think, like Jamal Murray. Let's say you take off Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. I mean, the Nuggets are going to struggle, but obviously, we're comparing apples to oranges here. What's up, Noah? We got the AAU team in the NBA. Trade Sengun. Come on, Wemby. Like, if you look at the Pistons are a little bit different because Cade's been out for almost the whole season, but the vibe in San Antonio, even though they have 15 wins, is completely different. Like, even though they were losing a ton of games and they just went on that desperate losing streak before All-Star break, the vibe is completely different. They're very excited about their young talent. And hopefully, as a fan base and as a team, we can get back to just good and positive vibes. The fact that the Texans rebuild is going better than the Rockets is sad. Football's a lot different. There's just a ton, 53 players on the roster. Football's a lot different because if you don't have a quarterback, you're kind of screwed. Like, you're just simply screwed. KJ has been great, and I'm so glad I picked him up in fantasy basketball. He is a guy that you don't really need to draw anything up for. He's usually in the right place at the right time. His basketball IQ has been improving. When he came into the league, kind of the prototype was a good 3-and-D player. I wonder actually now what look up his defensive rating. I don't really like looking at Rocket defensive ratings because I don't really think it's indicative of how they're guarding, but let's just see what we got here. 120. Yeah, it's just, that's absolutely a miserable statistic. You never want to hear that. What's up, Pushka? How you doing, man? Can you scroll down a bit? I want to see the reply to Chuck42. What do we have here? We talked a little bit about this in our last stream. How do you think this ends besides Silas getting fired? Do you think there's a chance Sengun is traded? I could see Sengun getting moved at some point. Whole thing is sad and silly. I hope our new coach fixes this mess. Why'd you spend 2 first-round picks on him? Yeah. There's not a peep from Jabari Smith because they're not even running plays with him. What's the key for Jabari to succeed? Well, I think what a big thing does is I think you need to get a point guard. I really do. And I absolutely love my man Kevin Porter Jr., and he has a phenomenal story. And I'm not quite sure if they're going to move on from him. They set both of them up to be able to move on. And, it's something we talk about a lot in these streams and on my videos. Kevin's having a phenomenal statistical year. I believe it's 19, 5, and 6. He's having career highs, just about everything. He got his free throw percentage up from like a desperate 60% into the 70s, the mid 70s. The thing is, I think a lot of people are anticipating, they're asking a little bit too much from a cat named Ty Washington Jr. We had a bad game last night from him, just 3 of 10 from the field. I think there's a lot of pressure on Ty Washington Jr. to succeed right now and like to just be able to come in and easily fill that point guard role. Well, the issue is Ty just turned 21 a couple of months ago, and he's a rookie who didn't really play at all in the first half, like literally at all. His first game played was mid-December, doesn't come in until plays 11 minutes a night in January, February, up to 13 minutes. It's all garbage time stuff except for some spot come off the benches. gets his first start a couple of days ago. And, now we're looking at 20 minutes per game in the month of Sunday. It's just there's a lot being asked from Tata Washington Jr. So I think what they're going to do is find out a point guard, man. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a guy named Fred with the last name Double V. I think having a point guard be able to come in and easily set up your teammates is in the Rockets' best interest. Rockets, we don't play with much chemistry. We don't have an identity, and that's been the occurring theme for the last 2.5 years. The thought process this year was that we were going to be a team that moves the ball, like hustles, like really hustles, and beats teams with their athleticism, their youth, their speed, and all that type of good stuff. And we haven't really seen that type of ball movement. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was Kevin's last year as a Rocket. Get a vet that coaches train him about shooting. This is one of those things where I think the impact of Dennis Schroeder last year went a very long way. Like I remember Dennis Schroeder coming in, and a lot of people weren't all that thrilled. It was before we had ties, so it was when the trade happened and we got Dennis Schroeder, it was like, all right, let's buy him out. Yeah, and then we give him 20 to 25 minutes a night off of the bench, and he kind of brought more of an identity, brought the team together on the bench, and I think it was perfect. So where the hell did that tweet go? There it is. I think getting a point guard is extremely important, and I'm kind of surprised we didn't acquire some type of aging vet. Like even if we still had DJ Augustine, I think the issue is he's going to cut into young cats' minutes, but he would be able to come in and mentor a lot of these young cats. Like we actually have, I'm not like allowed to really show this clip here, but look at this. Come on, LP Jabari Smith yelled at Sengun, didn't come over to help on Portland's first basket of the game. We're like a minute into the squad, and then we got Sam Decker. Hope you guys didn't hear that. It was loud. Not even LP's help assignment. He's worried about single side help for a corner three. You can't come down and bail out Jabari on this. Help rotation has to come from the other side of the floor because it's stacked heavier. So this is something Austin Silas is trending. This is something a lot of like vets come out and have been saying. It's not heavy. Coach, come on, get out of here. All right, are all these? All right, we're gonna get that. I like Berto. It's a double-edged sword, which makes it difficult because Houston as a team is horrible on the defensive side. And it's like, I understand Steven Silas. He's kind of coaching to win right now, which, you don't want to actively say you're tanking, but you want to be competitive in these games. And the thought process is just like the end of last year, where if we're really competitive in all of these games until the final quarter, the last 4 or 5 minutes, that's my goal. You don't really coach to lose. So it's like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. What's up, Swaggy? Where it's like, well, we don't want to like completely shit the bed, because what does that do for anybody? I love KPJ, but he's not the point guard of the future. Yep. Do you see any major offseason moves for the Rockets? I have our salary cap situation right here. Trading Eric Gordon clarified their book somewhat, so the Rockets likely have about $61 million in space, depending on their lottery luck. We have room to sign a player. Depending on what draft pick we get, I'm sure we'll make some type of impact on that. I have a hard time believing we'll actually make a lot of big moves, because the free agency class is not that good for what we're really looking for. A guy like Chris Middleton wouldn't be the worst thing, but I don't think they're trying to set themselves up like that. Another guy who comes off the dome real quick is Jeremy Grant, but Jeremy Grant kind of would probably get some issues, with Jabari. Jabari seems more like a 4 in this era NBA, especially when you're shooting like 30% from downtown. Kristaps Porzingis would be interesting. Yeah, this is not an issue, though. No, it's not an issue because everybody's off the books this year. The John Wall, Eric Gordons, they're off the team now, and it's their last years and all that type of stuff. So it's no issue. We have $60 million in cap. I don't know in the grand scheme of things where that would end up. I think Detroit will have around 30. Let's do a quick check on San Antonio's cap. Likely puts them at 40 to 48 million. I think off the dome, I'm going to assume and guess that we have the most cap space to spend in the NBA. But as Swaggy is saying here, that we don't have our first round pick next year. Like, we don't really have that many first round picks, as crazy as it may seem, in the near future. So, the era of tanking is definitely, as it should be in the fourth year of it, it should be kiboshed here. D'Angelo Russell doesn't really interest me. I think he's going to go to the Lakers anyways. Let's go to point guards and let's see what we got here. Russ, Kyrie, D'Angelo Russell. I've talked a lot about Fred coming on over. Maybe they get an aging vet like Corey Joseph off of the bench. I actually wouldn't be upset with Dennis Schroeder coming off of the bench. Javon Carter's on a player option. I think he'll decline that. I wouldn't be upset with Javon Carter. A lot of these guys are, like Dennis Smith Jr. is interesting. Aaron Holiday, Teo Maladon, former Rocket, Saban Lee, Gabe Vincent, Mac McClung, Miles McBride. He's not. Trey Jones, restricted free agent. They're going to bring him back. I would assume it wouldn't be what the Rockets are looking for. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen, to be honest with you guys. Sad, but I really starting to despise Silas as our coach. I'm sure he's great in real life, but damn, I can't stand him anymore. Yeah. I still think my take is still that he gets fired at some point in the regular season. And, Silas obviously gave up two second-round picks for Sengun. And if Sengun's getting benched at the end of these games, we've already seen a little bit of ambiguity between Silas and Stone from what it appears that Stone tries and gives Silas some pointers on like rotations and that type of stuff. So I kind of am anticipating, especially with Nate McMillan getting fired a couple of weeks ago, week and a half ago, whatever it was, I do think Silas will get traded away at some point. Yeah, and that was the big issue is, all right, well, now Sengun's on the bench. And you could make the argument that, what were we down, like 20 points, and we got it back to 8, but on the contrary, Dame was out for like almost all of that. Lucas praised Silas as a coach. Silas is a good basketball mind. I don't think he's a good leader of men, if that makes sense. Silas and the Mavericks offense was and still is completely revolved around Luke. I guess that's changed with Kyrie there a little bit, but they run a heliocentric offense, which has never worked in the history of the NBA as far as winning a championship goes. What's up, Jorge? Nice to see you, man. Oh, and that was another thing I wanted to talk about. I am off the Knicks train. I know somebody commented on my last video or stream because in this offseason I was a big advocate for letting Dacian Knicks play. And I know Matt in my Discord sent a message last night. He was like, Dacian Knicks career high in points. And I'm like, well, let's pull up what he went. He played 30 minutes, 7 of 19 from the field, 2 of 7 from downtown. He had 3 turnovers. He did have 16 points, which I guess was a career high. I'm off the Dacian Knicks train as much as he likes to talk on Instagram. I'm also not a fan of players doing that, getting, like retaliating with their fans and stuff. But, yeah. Deshaun Watson praised Bill O'Brien as a coach. I think there's a difference between being a knowledgeable coach and being a good coach. So I'm not a huge fan of Silas's adjustments, as we've seen in the last couple of days, and I know a lot of people are on that. The Rockets' offense is completely isolation, just about. It's pick and roll and isolation, and it's not what you want. And I get part of this scheme is read and react. Well, they're not doing a great job at either of those two things. I'm not trying to make Kevin be the scapegoat, just like I don't want Silas to be the scapegoat. There's a lot of flaws within the team. If you just take the team on paper, we're obviously not good. Like, it's not, especially right now, post All-Star break, it's not like, oh yeah, if Silas wasn't the coach and they had a different point guard, it's not like, oh yeah, they're looking at, around 500. That's certainly not the case. Ricky Rubio would be awesome. I would absolutely love a guy like Ricky Rubio. People are not going to like it because of Ty Ty Washington Jr., but then he'll have games like last night where it's like, oh yeah, he's a 21-year-old rookie. It's not quite his time yet. So, yeah. Sengun is getting exposed on defense. Why are people mad at the bench? The goal is to win. I think the issue with that is, why is he being on the bench if we're not a good defensive team? Because you'll have guys like Boban come in, and also Dame will do the same thing, run pick and rolls and expose Boban on the defensive side. And it's not like Boban is that much different of a player than Alperen Sengun. It's not like he's a lockdown defender. Dun, dun, dun. So Jalen Green is going to be a superstar, right, or a number one option on a championship team. I think Jalen Green certainly has superstar potential, but along with most point guards, I don't think they can be a number one option on a championship team. I like to use my boy Zach LaVine as an example. The way he's getting paid, you want him and expect him to be your number one. But if LaVine's your best player on a team, you're not going to win a championship. Unfortunate reality. That's my opinion. You do have the generational greats, guys like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. I would even argue Devin Booker can't be the best player on a championship team. Maybe it depends on their play style. But like Kevin Durant takes the Phoenix Suns to, I was harping all season that Phoenix isn't going to win the finals with Devin Booker as their best player. And they get Kevin Durant, and now they're immediately finals contenders. I mean, they already were like possibly going to get to the finals, but yeah. A bunch of kids that can't even drink. LP, KJ. KJ's been really nice. Tari Eason is a great player for us. Last night had another dominant game where he's just always in the right place at the right time. 15 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, an efficient 6 of 12, 101 from downtown. He had 5 offensive rebounds. Josh Christopher has been playing a little bit more. Jayshawn Tate has actually been very helpful since he's come back. So I'm interested to see what it's going to look like with a healthy Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. There are a lot of mouths to feed on this team. And Silas likes feeding guys like Dacian Nix. So we'll see what happens. That's really it for today. We hit 30 minutes. So I got to make some YouTube videos and got a busy night ahead. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Swaggy, Jorge, there's no spoon, or the names I can see right now. But appreciate all you guys live and everybody who's going to watch this a little bit later on. So that's it for today. We'll probably go live, in the next 48 hours again for Let's Talk Rockets number 10, which is a big milestone. That's it. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate it, Josh. And peace. Scope on Pod is tomorrow, Swag.